We all know a leader who's inspired us to be better. We feel more motivated, invested in, we feel trusted. That leader could have been a teacher, a coach, an instructor, a mentor. I'm sure we could all name a leader or two who didn't evoke the same feeling. Today, we want to talk about how those leaders motivate us or not, and how neuroscience plays a role in that. Welcome to The Rooted Leader. Hi, I'm Kathleen Wise-Mandel. I'm a scientist, leader for over 20 years, and now a leadership coach. I created the short leadership minisodes that meet busy leaders where they are, offering insight, reflection, and questions that support growth in the flow of your work. You can think of it as your own mini personal coaching session. Thank you for being here. More than ever, compassion is so important in our daily interactions, and whether we're interacting with our team, our employees, our friends, our colleagues, or our family, compassion has a way of bringing us together and understanding one another. I covered this topic in the Root newsletter from March 2025, and this particular blog was pretty popular last year with my readers. In it, I discussed the book Helping People Change, Coaching with Compassion for Lifelong Learning and Growth by Dr. Richard Boyatzis, Dr. Melvin Smith, and Dr. Joanne Van Oosten from Case Western University. While the focus is primarily on coaching with compassion, the idea is that this particular approach works really well when we're interacting with anyone, and it all begins with neuroscience. They talk about leading with compassion is actually a genuine sense of caring and concern, focusing on the other person, providing that encouragement and support, and also guiding that person on their pursuit of development. If we lead with compliance, we're focused in on what we think their desired future should be or how they should move toward a goal, rather than understanding how important it could be to them or how their skills or values play into it. To me, it resonates so much with how I view leading and coaching others. And yet, as a parent, I find myself having to remind myself to lead more with compassion, understanding the values and goals of my own adult children. Why do you think that compassion means something to people? Well, I think it's important, first of all, just because in this complex world where change is happening really fast, creating an environment where trust and learnings go hand in hand can really be helpful in navigating the pace of change as well as the complexity. And then there's a neuroscience aspect as well. Compassion actually awakens our positive emotional attractors, and we'll call those PEA. And when this happens, our body and our minds feel energized. We feel motivated. And compliance, on the other hand, causes a negative emotional attractor, and that actually activates our defense system. We become alerted. We might move into flight, fight, freeze, or fawn. And those can be at varying degrees, but what happens is it causes us to lower our motivation and engagement. Have you ever worked in an environment with toxic behaviors? And I'm sure most of you are shaking your heads, yes. That was a negative emotional attractors at work. And we all know how that can really just move through an organization or move through a team in a way that just creates less safety, less trust, less innovation, less creativity, and honestly, less fun. Let's pause for a moment and reflect on when we were part of a team, when we felt that energy and trust. We might have been more open to creativity and fun. And think about the leader or the teacher or the coach and how they created that atmosphere. Now think about a time when you were a part of a team where that didn't feel that way. Possibly there were individual contributors with competition, lack of feeling safe for creativity. Now I want you to picture that particular leader or coach or teacher. How do relationships play into this? Compassion allows us to connect with each other. So it's not just about being nice and kind. It invokes that PEA, which allows us to create inclusion. We have an opportunity as a leader, when we lead with compassion, to create environments for growth and reflection. It's that psychological safety that allows us to share those learnings and be a little bit vulnerable, ask questions when we don't know, and it helps us learn together, collaborate, build trust, and move towards innovation and creativity, even if it's just small amounts. As organizations, we benefit when our employees grow and learn. They mentor and support others' growth, including their own, and it's a really great virtuous cycle. As a leader, what are the ways that we can create PEA? Well, as companies, we all have concrete corporate and individual goals, so there's no way around that. There is an element of compliance that comes along with the work that we do, and that comes in through standards, policies, and even our goals. Yet without compassion, without that safety, without the connectedness and relationship, we lose that learning and growing environment. And most importantly, we lose the engagement and motivation. We want people to be intrinsically motivated to do the work that they're doing in a way that supports their overall growth and vision for themselves. In leadership coaching, I use the same principles of wanting to move people to that future state vision of themselves, guided by their values that allow them to be intrinsically motivated in that change. As a leader, I found that one-on-ones were my most effective way to not only learn about my employees, but really understand what was going on in their day-to-day work. I made sure these were always scheduled, and the employee had the opportunity to come with their items. It was their time. If leaders are rescheduling or canceling these meetings, it can create moments of distrust for the employee. Having that one-on-one connection is really important. So over time, find out what's important to them, either personally or professionally. It's important to make sure that we don't just do this one time of year during goal setting, but that it's an ongoing conversation to interact and learn from them. And it's a very individualized approach. The other important piece is that recurring group or team meeting that allows for not only understanding progress, but also identifying risks and barriers and ideas to how to move forward. This not only increases that opportunity for sharing lessons, it builds in psychological safety and trust that they can bring up something if they're seeing something in their day-to-day work. Then as a leader, I had an opportunity to work at my level with a colleague or a peer to understand the constraint and possibly remove it in a way that allowed the team to focus on their daily deliverables. 3 takeaways from this topic. 1, leading with compassion involves the creation of a safe and learning environment that fosters trust, connection, and engagement, and in turn, motivation increases. 2, leading by compliance feels punitive if used 100% of the time and can lead to disengagement and defensiveness, less motivation, and less creativity. And frankly, it's just not fun. We do know that there are moments when leading with compliance is required. There are times when there are critical projects to deliver on. If we balance that with the trust and connection from leading with compassion, we can create an environment where we support people through those times and we come through intact. 3, creating an environment of transparency and opportunities for two-way communication is critical. You want to know your employees, their values, their dreams, and concerns, and create an environment where people can share in a trusted way. This helps them overcome those times of stress when compliance is necessary. By knowing their interests, you as a leader or manager might have an opportunity for them to get engaged across the organization differently, increasing their opportunity for growth and retention. Reflection. I'd like you to take a moment to pause in between questions if you can. Let's have a personal coaching moment. Do you remember a leader who led with compliance rather than with trust? And if so, how did that make you feel? And how did you feel about your job on Sunday evenings? When those Sunday scaries set in? Now, think about a leader who primarily led with trust and compassion. How did this make you feel? How did you respond when there was a time of stress or tight deliverables? And how did this leader ensure you were supported? And how did they collectively work to support collaboration across team members? How might you as a leader create new opportunities to learn more about your employees, your team members, your colleagues, your stakeholders? How might you learn from their perspective what's important to them, whether it be work-related, personal values, or even personal interests? I'd like to leave you with a quote from Richard Boyatzis, and one that connected with me as a leader, one that I really believed in and still believe in. It's the responsibility of every leader and manager to understand the dreams of the people who report to them. Insights and action. What things can you take from today's podcast episode that you'd like to take action on? Would it be connecting with a colleague one-on-one to learn more about their day-to-day interactions and what gets in their way? Or understanding what really motivates them? Or possibly it's building new traditions that incorporate trust and connection with your team. One last parting thought. If you had a teacher, a coach, a mentor, family member in your life that really brought out the best in you, they might have been a little bit tough on you, but they understood your potential, reach out today and thank them. I can imagine it would mean the world to them. It's such a good way to creating positive emotional attractors. Wishing you the best of luck. These times are tough, and connection and compassion are so important. Thank you. Thank you for joining the Rooted Leader podcast. And if today's minisode sparked something for you, take a moment to reflect on the questions in the show notes. You'll find links and resources there as well. If you'd like to share a thought or a question for a future episode, you can email me at therootedleaderpodcast@gmail.com or reply directly on the Rooted Leader Substack. Please be sure to follow or subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. Until next time, stay rooted in authenticity and empathy. Thank you.